The thing for me is it's a challenging and expensive undertaking to make a movie. The thing with doing the computer generated effects, I've tried to create them in such a way that they are an homage to the original visual effects shots that were done in the 70s. We haven't tried to create something that looks like a modern high-speed visual effects thing that looks like a modern movie. We've really tried to say, all right, if they had these effect capabilities 50 years ago, what would it look like? And I feel very good about the work we did with Tobias Richter and the light work so far. But when the question came up, could we do some practical effect shots? At first I was like, well, I got to finish the film. And then it started thinking about, we have a really small window before we wrap. The film is scheduled to be wrapped up by mid-January, but we had this window where we could actually maybe do some practical effect shots. So I started doing some exploration and trying to think about how would we do it, how would we approach it. And obviously the most important aspect of this for me is that the reason why we all fell in love with the Eagle and Space 1999, I think, was the practical effects. Obviously, I mean, they didn't have the computer-generated stuff back then, and the quality of the visuals and the content was amazing, and still is to this day. And that's why we fell in love with it, right? And obviously, the documentary touches on there's a segment where I talk to Brian Johnson, and we really get into how did they do those effects back then, and we're going to show all kinds of behind the scenes and everything with it. But the idea of doing new effect shots today using those old techniques was something that we just hadn't thought about. Anyway, I explored it, and I think we can pull it off, and I think it'd be a lot of fun to do it. So I'd like to do an effort here in the Twin Cities in December, potentially, but obviously we need some help to finance it and pay for it. The documentary itself is kind of already in post-production and finished, and if we were going to do these practical effect shots, we're going to need some fans to step up and help us get it done. Todd and John and I have kind of mapped out a path to what we think it will cost to actually do these things. You know, one thing for fans to remember is that when they did do those visual effects shots, the back 50 years ago, Space 1999 was the most expensive television show ever made, and those effect shots were expensive to produce. So it's not something that we can just throw together. Now, you know, we have had others who've talked about you can produce these kinds of effect shots cheaply and that sort of thing. Yes and no. I mean, obviously, you know, for us to do it, it has to match the quality of what we've already produced for the film, and that means we need to shoot on similar cameras. That means we have to shoot. You know, we need a studio space, so we have to pay for a studio, we have to pay for cameras, we have to pay for lighting, we have to pay for a crew. You know, we actually have to build I'd like to build a lunar landscape. I have somebody here in the Twin Cities who can help me build that. We also have to create rigs to suspend the Eagle. And I want to do a mix of shots, like some of them where we actually have the Eagle like on an armature and it's steady, and we actually push the camera past it the way they used to get the illusion of movement. And then there's also, you know, the idea of putting it on a rig with the wires, suspending it and moving it, you know, back and forth. Now, if we start getting into things like creating a landing scene or those sorts of things, that's where it starts to get more expensive. You know, the simpler, the cheaper, the more elaborate, the more expensive. It just works that way. So if we want to do things like having it take off and land, and say we want to have gases come out of the jets on the bottom, well, that's got to be rigged and put together. That's got to, you know, take time. There's an expense to that. Going back to the Kickstarter, here's what I want to offer for this. So John Eves, the fantastic Star Trek designer, John is doing an exclusive poster of the Command Eagle. He's going to illustrate it fully, and he's doing that. And so if you come in to contribute to this at the $25 level, you can get one of those posters. Okay, so it's like $25 plus shipping. So in all this stuff, we're planning for you guys to everything we want the fans to pay for shipping. That's the one thing we're going to do, because we got in confusion over that last time, and because people were like, well, can you ship it over here and ship it over there? It's like, hey, we can ship this to Timbuktu as long as you pay for it. Shipping, right? That's what we're looking for. We're only going to make 1,000 Blu-rays. That's it. Just okay, because the thing is that whoever distributes this film when it's finished, they're going to want the exclusive rights to be able to distribute the movie, you know, fully through streaming, theatrical, Blu-ray, that sort of thing. But I am doing a carve out with the distributor to say there's 1,000 of these in the world, the Blu-ray exclusive. So this will say it. There'll be a exclusive collector's Kickstarter edition Blu-ray. All right, and that's it, just 1,000. And then so if you come in, you can get that. If you do $75, you can get the poster and the Blu-ray together, which is something I would do. The At 150, so we've designed this amazing. We've got a baseball cap now, and we've also got a mug that we've done. So you can get a combo poster, Blu-ray, cap, mug for $150. Then we get into the 22-inch Eagle model kit that everyone's seen, and that we've already had quite a few pre-orders for, and the feedback's really great on it. So you can get that unbuilt for everything above, plus the unbuilt model for $500. And then at the 700, so then we talked about the aluminum stuff and adding that to it as well. So these are all the different levels, but these will be basically the tiers of what we've got available. It'll be very simple, very straightforward, and we're hoping that this will be. And then, by the way, as far as when we would fulfill all this stuff, it'll be available. Our plan will be to ship this out by August of next year.